Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूत श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you to today's Sri Caitanya Charitamrita session. Today is April 13th, 2026. And we are reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya, chapter 8. One second. Madhya, chapter 8. Actually, chapter 9. Lord Chaitanya's travels to the holy places in South India. So, Mahaprabhu was in Sri Rangam. From there, he went to Rishabha Parvat, and there he met. Actually, from there, he went to Śrī Caitanya. No. First, he went to Rishabha Parvat and met Paramananda Puri and told him to return to Jagannath Puri after his travels so that Mahaprabhu can spend time with him. He wanted to stay near Paramananda Puri. Then Mahaprabhu continued south and Paramananda Puri went towards Jagannath Puri. And Mahaprabhu came to Śrī Caitanya. There he met Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi, who were in the form of a brāhmaṇa and brāhmani. He spent 3 days there and they had some confidential talks. We don't know what they were. And then after that, Mahaprabhu came to Kamakoshti Puri. Kamakoshti Puri is in Madurai. And from there he came to the Dakshina Mathura. That means to the southern side of Madurai. And that is known as Shaiva Kshetra. And there are 2 prominent temples there, Rameshwaram and Sundareshwara temples. And also Meenakshi Devi temple. So while Mahaprabhu was there, he met a brāhmana. The brāhmana invited Mahaprabhu to come and take prasadam at his house. This brāhmana was a devotee of Lord Ramchandra. So Mahaprabhu agreed. He took bath in the river Tamraparni. And he went to, actually he took bath in Kritamala, not Tamraparni. He took bath in the river Kritamala and went to the Brahmana's house at noon time. But when he went there, he saw nothing was cooked. So the Lord asked, my dear sir, it's already noon. Why haven't you cooked yet? So this Brahmana says, sir, we are living in the forest. We cannot get all the ingredients on time, all the time. Lakshman has gone out to collect the ingredients. So he will collect whatever fruits, roots, and leaves he can find. And then he will bring them. Then Sita Devi will cook them. And then prasadam will be served out. So when Mahaprabhu heard this, he was very pleased by the bhajan of this Brahmana. Then this Brahmana began to, because Mahaprabhu is there. And then this Brahmana started cooking hastily. And Finally, when he finished cooking and made the offering and gave Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, it was the third prahar of the day. That means it was like after 3 o'clock. Mahaprabhu took prasadam. But this brāhmana didn't eat. And he was also very sad. He was fasting. Then Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Vipra, my dear brāhmana, why are you fasting? Why are you so sad? What is the reason for this sadness? And why are you so disappointed?" Then that brāhmana said, "My life has no meaning. There is no use of this life. I will either enter fire or I will enter water and give up my life." And then he explained, the mother of the universe, the supreme goddess of fortune, Sita Thakurani, has been touched by the Rakshasa. And this news I heard with my own ears. How can I keep my life in this body? That's his intention. I heard that news with my own ears. I cannot continue to live in this body which heard that news, that the Rakshasa touched the supreme goddess of fortune. My body is burning in this sorrow. Still, my life doesn't leave this body. Then Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu said, "Don't think like this anymore. You are a pandita, you're a learned person. Why don't you consider the matter? Sita Devi is the consort of the Supreme Lord. Her form is not a material form. Her form is Chidananda Murti, it is transcendental. That transcendental form cannot be conceived by material senses. Nobody can see the transcendental form with material senses. If one cannot even see the form, how can one touch? If seeing is not possible, how can one touch the transcendental form? Then we know that Ravana has taken Sita Devi. Oh, the Sita Devi form which Ravana took is a Maya form. Sitara Akriti Maya, ha-ila Ravana. So Ravana kidnapped the Maya form of Sita. He didn't see even the real form of Sita, what to speak of touching her form. As soon as Ravana came, Sita Devi disappeared from there. Antardhana koilo. She immediately disappeared as soon as Ravana came. And she sent a Maya Sita in front of Ravana. Any aprakrita vastu, transcendental object, cannot be seen by material senses, cannot be perceived by material senses. Transcendental object cannot be perceived by material senses. This is said in all the Vedas and Puranas. Again and again, nirantara. You hear this constantly in Vedas and Puranas, that a transcendental object cannot be seen by material, cannot be conceived by material senses. So then we will see what happened after that. Today's verse is text 195. Vishva karaha tumi, viśvāsa karaha tumi āmāra vacane, punarapi ku-bhāvanā na kariho mane. Viśvāsa karaha tumi āmāra vacane. You trust my words. Please believe my words. That means the brahmana's sorrow is that Sita Devi was touched by Ravana. So Mahaprabhu is saying Sita Devi is a transcendental form. No material eyes can even see her form, what to speak of touching her. That means she was never touched by Ravana, so don't worry. Then what about the Sita that Ravana kidnapped? That is not real Sita, that is Maya Sita. Sita Devi disappeared as soon as Ravana came, and she sent forward Maya Sita. You trust my words. Viśvāsa karaha tumi. Āmāra vacane. You trust my words. Punarapi ku-bhāvanā na kariho mane. And never again let this thought come to your mind again that Sita Devi was touched by Ravana. Don't ever let this thought come to your mind. You trust my words, whatever I have said, and don't let this thought come to your mind that Sita Devi was touched by Ravana. Punarapi ku-bhāvanā. Ku-bhāvanā means bad thought. Right? This is not right. So don't let this bad thought ever come to your mind again, Mahaprabhu say. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu then assured the brāhmaṇa, have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception. Ku-bhāvanā, misconception. You have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception. Purport. This is the process of spiritual understanding. Achintyaha khalu ye bhava na tam starkena yojayet. Achintyaha khalu ye bhava. So that which is achintya, inconceivable, that which is inconceivable, can you understand that by logic? Na tam starkena yojayet. If you try to find the answer through logic, then you cannot. So there are, Shastra is telling us about inconceivable objects. The Supreme Lord is inconceivable. Bhakti is inconceivable. The Lord's abode, his devotees, all these are inconceivable. Yet Shastra is telling us about these things, about the Supreme Lord, about our relationship with the Lord, about the process by which we can approach the Lord. Prayojana, what is the ultimate result of this abhideya, of this process that we follow. Shastra is telling all these things. But not everything is actually explained or explainable through logic. If you say, give me an example, then I will understand what is being said. For some things, examples are given, some material examples, because after all, my mind and intelligence can only grasp that which is within the purview of time and space. This whole material creation started with time. And then, of course, with the glance of the Lord, and that glance carried time. And then when the elements came from Prakriti, came sky, space. Ether is space. And after that, the universes were formed and the living entities were given bodies which consisted of mind and intelligence. That means with our mind and intelligence, we can only understand things which are within the limitation of time and space. That which is beyond time and space, before creation, what is the situation? You cannot understand with your mind and intelligence. It's not possible. And you want logic. With logic, you want to understand. And if it doesn't make sense to your logic, then you will not accept it. But inconceivable objects cannot be understood through logic. You say this is illogical. You cannot understand through logic. Sometimes people say that I will only accept those statements of Shastra which can be explained through logic, and those statements which cannot be explained through logic, I will not accept. Mahabharata says such people are like jackals, or cunning fox. Those who don't accept all statements of Shastra, they say I will only accept those that can be explained by logic, and others that cannot be explained by logic, I will reject. Such people are called cunning foxes or jackals. You cannot do that. Sometimes Shastra will give some examples, material examples. For example, if you say, give me an example for the Lord's taking birth and not taking birth, There is no examples like the Supreme Lord in this material world. Then you will say, I won't accept it, that he takes birth and he also doesn't take birth. If you say that, then what's your standing? So that's why here it is said that you have to accept the authoritative statement of Shastra. But we cannot accept until and unless we get mercy from a pure devotee, we cannot accept the statements of Shastra. We will hear them, but we won't believe them. We will not be able to surrender to the Lord hearing the statements of Bhagavad Gita. How many times we may have heard in Bhagavad Gita, statements like Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And is everyone who's hearing that immediately surrendering to Krishna or even thinking about surrendering to Krishna? No. Different people have different opinions. If you read the different commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, you will see what are the different opinions people have about Krishna's statements. Some people say this is too much. How he can say we should surrender to him? Why we should surrender? Like that. Even after hearing Shastra, it is not that people immediately believe those statements as it is. When will we believe? We will believe Parama Swatantra Bhagavad Bhakta Sangha Tat Kripa Jata Mangalodayana. When we get the mercy of a Parama Swatantra Bhagavad Bhakta, a pure devotee of the Lord. When we receive the mercy, that mercy allows us to believe the statements of Shastra that we are hearing. Otherwise, we won't become devotees. And that Shastra, even if, that means, see, when something is not according to logic, what can make you accept it? If it is not satisfying your logic, when will you be able to accept it even if it doesn't make sense to you? When you have faith. If you don't have faith, you will not accept it. How to get that faith? That faith comes from a pure devotee. Unless you get, that's why our account will be started by a pure devotee at some point. It was started. That's why we are able to believe the statements of Shastra. So, but otherwise, that which is inconceivable will not make sense by logic. You will have to accept, and you will accept it when you receive mercy. At every step, actually. In the beginning and later also. You see, we have different stages. Let's say we first met a Mishra Bhakta, mixed devotee, who's not a pure devotee. Then we can get that much faith. We can get faith for mixed devotional service from that devotee. But then later on, if we get the association of a pure devotee, then we can get faith as much as that devotee has. We can only get what he has. We cannot get more than that from that devotee. So it is a journey. And how we will get that devotee's mercy? Of course, the very first initial mercy is coming simply by the free will of that devotee. And after that, after you understand now from Shastra a little bit, now in order to get their mercy, you will try to please them. You should try to hear. So how do you serve devotees? You can hear, right? Shravanam Kirtanam, you can hear. By when you perform devotional service, when you try to serve Krishna and Krishna's mission, devotees are very pleased. Naturally, they will be pleased. So like that. So by the mercy of devotees only, you will be able to understand that which is beyond your senses, which cannot be conceived by your senses, by your mind and intelligence. That means it doesn't make sense logically. Mahabharata also says, tarko apratishthana. Tarka has no pratishtha. Tarka has no value. Or logic has no value. Apratishthana. If you want to understand the conclusion of something, can you come to a conclusion by logic? You cannot. When you say logic, it's like tarka, debate, right? So you propose something, and we used to have these debates in high school, and they'll give a topic and there will be two groups and you have to debate on that topic. I have not seen one debate where everyone comes to the conclusion, yes, this is what it is. Both parties, so there's a time limit, 2 hours or whatever. So during that time, you have to establish your point. And it is said one person is for and the other person is against. They will debate and debate and debate and debate, trying to prove their point this way, that way, in whichever way. They will never accept the other person's point. How can you come to a conclusion by debate? No, you don't come to a conclusion by debate. You will be standing on your own thing and the other person, and you will just keep fighting until death. You'll never come to a conclusion. So by tarka, you want to understand the inconceivable object. That which is inconceivable to your senses, you will debate about it and then you'll find out what it is. It doesn't work like that. The inconceivable object cannot be understood by logic. Tarka apratishtana. Achintyaha khalu ye bhava na tams tarkena yojayet. We should not try to understand things beyond our material conception by argument and counter-argument. Mahajano yena gatah sapanthaha. Then how to understand? By debate and by argument, we cannot understand. You have to understand through Mahajanas. And how through Mahajans? Mahajans are the authorities. They are the authorities who have walked that path. So you have to follow the path that they have walked. Follow in their footsteps, because they have achieved the goal. By following in their footsteps, you can also achieve the goal. Mahajano yena gatah sa panthaha. We have to follow in the footsteps of great authorities coming down in the parampara system. That is the way to understand. And of course, what are the Mahajanas, the acharyas in parampara system following? Is each acharya giving his own, what do you say, ideas about what is the way to achieve the goal? No. For everybody, for all acharyas, for guru, for sadhus, the lamp that is showing them the path is Shastra, Shastra Pramana. That is the guiding light for everybody. That is why even after so many generations, still we have the same Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is still enlightening people. But this Bhagavad Gita has to come down in disciplic succession in a bona fide parampara. Otherwise, like today, so many commentaries are there on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is what Krishna spoke. But you see, the explanation of Bhagavad Gita, completely, it's not Bhagavad Gita, it is something else. They write their own ideas in the name of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, Shastra, if you want to understand, it has to come through parampara. You have to study under a guru. You have to study Shastra under a guru. And that guru also has to come in disciplic succession. Not only that, the guru must be Shastre Parecha Nishnataha. That means expert in Shastra. He is expert in Shastra. And also he is realized. He has experienced the Lord. Such a guru. And if you are not able to get such a guru, you can go to a student of that guru. Somebody who is directly connected to such a guru, if you study from such a person, then that guru will pull your guru. And you will be pulled by your guru. And in this way, the whole chain will be pulled up. This is actually the system in Gurukula. In Gurukula, traditional Gurukula, it's not like you have, so many teachers like we have in schools now, right? Whole staff of teachers. It's not like that. In traditional Gurukula, there is one acharya, one teacher. And usually they are grihasthas in their home. They have a Gurukula. Students come and study under him, a brāhmaṇa. He will teach his immediate students, and those students, while they are studying, just like, let's say, for example, there are 10 grades. So the students that he is teaching, he taught them first grade, they came to second grade now. Now new students will join in first grade. Those first grade students will be taught by the second grade students. And the Guru Acharya is teaching the second grade students, and now they will come to third grade. The guru is still teaching the first students only who are in third grade. Those third grade students will be teaching the second grade students, and fresh students will come in first grade. Second grade students will be teaching first grades. In this way, when you come to 10th grade, Acharya is teaching 10th grade students. 10th grade students are teaching 9th grade. 9th grade are teaching 8th grade. 8th grade are teaching 7th. 7 are teaching 6th grade. 6th grade are teaching 5th grade. 5th grade are teaching 4th grade. 4th grade are teaching like that. So in this way, and there is always checking at every time. Testing is done to see. That's why testing is essential. Without testing, you don't know what the student is grasping, because he can understand it wrongly and he will teach the same thing to the next students. Then in this way, that knowledge will be polluted, diluted, and that will create havoc in society. So therefore, when the Acharya is teaching his students, and when the students are teaching their students, he will check. So his 10th grade students, when they're teaching to 9th grade, the Acharya will check how he is teaching. Is he teaching rightly or not? Similarly, the 9th grade students will check the 8th grade students, like that. Testing is done at all time. How they are teaching also. Is the knowledge being transmitted without any additions or deletions? That is very important. That's what is lacking currently in our movement. There are so many speakers on Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, but who is actually testing what they are speaking is actually proper Siddhanta or not? Even while reading Srila Prabhupada's purports, everyone understands it differently. You see, our mind, intelligence, senses are influenced by the modes. Somebody is in the mode of goodness, somebody is in the mode of passion, somebody is in the mode of ignorance. According to their association, if you're associating with modes of passion all the time, by way of your food, by way of the people that you are working with, by way of the things that you're hearing and watching, now your mind, intelligence, senses, they are all in the modes of passion and ignorance. With such mind and intelligence, when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or when you read, you will not be able to accept the meaning as it is. Rather, you will take a meaning which is according to your conditioning, which is convenient to you. Very easily we will eliminate or give secondary meanings to the words that are there. For example, when Srila Prabhupada says always, we take it so lightly. That word always, it's as if we just jump over it. And we already have some preconceived ideas about, what is truth from whatever we heard maybe in the beginning, or, because of our conditioning, we just formed some ideas in our mind and we say the same thing all the time. And also we are picking up so many points from here and there. Maybe sometimes in some movies, right? Sometimes devotees watch some devotional movies made by not necessarily devotees, and there are some things said there, and then they just add that also here and there in the classes that they speak, or whatever they hear from some motivational speakers who say how you can improve your business by reading Bhagavad Gita, how you can live a happy family life by reading Bhagavad Gita, things like that. And they just add all these things and they speak. So by this way, the philosophy is getting diluted and polluted. It's like adding water in milk. When there is milk, pure milk, that is very nourishing. But then when you add little bit of water, it still looks like milk, but it is not pure milk. And then if you keep adding more water, right? Now, one person hears and then he will speak something, he will add some of his own points. And whoever is hearing from this person, The third person will add some of his points. And the fourth person will add some more. So by the time you come to 10th, 20th person, what will happen? There's hardly any original points left there. It's just a mixture of all additions only. Just like you keep adding water, 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 water. Finally, there's not even 1%, maybe 1% of milk. It's only water there. That is the situation. This is said, if you read the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see in the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada stresses on this point so much. You have to give the message as it is. You don't derive some other meanings from what is being said. It's like you pick something from here, something from there, something from there, and then you make up your own story and make a very attractive presentation. It may be very attractive to hear, but it won't be beneficial for the person in that person's spiritual life. There won't be any spiritual progress. But if you gave as it is, even a little bit, that is actually going to benefit the person. There's a, yeah. So that is why giving the message as it is important. We have to follow in the footsteps of great authorities coming down in the parampara. That's why I was explaining this. How to understand by following in the footsteps. If we depend on our own fertile brains, right? We have, like, we are very good at whatever abilities we have. That won't work when it comes to Shastra. In the material world, the more you are different, then the better you are, isn't it? Even if in studies, when you do your thesis and your PhD, you have to be different from everyone else. You have to give something new. In your thesis presentation, you have to give something which was not given before. You have to keep coming up with new things. But that's not how it is in spiritual life. The more you stick to the message as it is, the more you are perfect. If you can present the message as it is, the conclusion should not be deviated even a little bit. But the expertise is if you're able to present the exact message according to the present time and audience, means in a way which is understandable to the present audience. That is expertise. But even if you're not able to do that, at least if you gave the message as it is, you have done some justice. What if you repeat the same examples, the exact same as examples as given by the Acharya? You repeat the same examples. There is no harm. And you speak 10 times to 10 audiences, and you say every time the exact same thing. You've done your duty, and you are appreciated by the parampara, by the Lord. But if you think, oh, the audience will get bored because I said the same thing, now let me say something different this time. No. Then there is pollution. So we have to follow in the footsteps of great authorities coming down in the parampara system. If we approach a bona fide acharya and keep faith in his words, spiritual realization will be easy. So Mahaprabhu is saying, have faith in my words. Have faith in my words. What is Mahaprabhu saying? That Sita ji was never even seen by Ravana, what to speak of touching her. So you don't become sad. Give up this sorrow from your heart. So these things cannot be understood by logic. How is it? You have to accept on the basis of authority. The authority is saying, no, Sita ji is not touched, means she is not touched. Of course, Mahaprabhu is saying here, but Mahaprabhu himself will show by his example. He actually brings, in future verses we will see, he will bring a proof from Shastra to prove. Not that because I said you accept it. That's there because sadhu and guru also don't say anything whimsically. And another point, those who are liberated, their senses even if they get, like, even if they are not able to show it directly from Shastra, because their senses are free from all defects. In the conditioned state, we have 4 defects: Brahma, Pramada, Karana Patava, Vipralipsa. The 4 defects. Brahma means illusion. You see something and you think it is something else. Brahma. Then Pramada. Pramada means making mistakes. Making mistakes. Brahma, Pramada. Karana Patava. Karana Patava means imperfection. The senses are imperfect. You cannot see what is there behind the wall. There's limitation. The senses are limited. Brahma, Pramada, Karana, Patava, Vipralipsa. Vipralipsa means cheating tendency. Cheating tendency. Knowingly, you give wrong information because you want to cheat the other person. So these defects are there in the conditioned soul. When somebody is liberated by dint of their sadhana, liberated personalities don't have these faults. That means they won't be illusioned. They won't make mistakes. Their senses are not limited. They can see perfectly. Senses are not imperfect. And they don't cheat. Because of this, when somebody is transcendental, when somebody is liberated, even if they are saying something which you are not able to see in the Shastra immediately, that will be true. It will be from Shastra. They may not be able to show it immediately, but it will be there in Shastra, certainly. Because their senses cannot make any mistake. Their senses, that is why Arsha Pramana means the writings given by these sages. That is also one Pramana. Arsha Pramana means, the sages have given some books. They're not directly the Vedas, but the sages have written some books. But because these sages are, liberated, when they write something, that will also be true. It will be true because they don't have these defects. They cannot give something. Defective knowledge will not come from them. It will be non-defective Shabda only. Like that. So here Mahaprabhu is saying, don't worry, Sitaji was never touched. Because Mahaprabhu is a hidden avatar, right? So he's not really showing that he's the Supreme Lord. But even when the Supreme Lord says still, it is always supported by Shastra. Otherwise, we don't accept it. Like Lord Buddha said, reject Vedas. Lord Buddha is the Lord. But still, we don't reject the Vedas. Rather, we reject Buddha's philosophy. Why? Because Shastra says, reject Buddha's philosophy. Buddha is the Lord, but still reject his philosophy. That is meant for a certain time, for a particular purpose. It is not an eternal principle. How do we know this? The scripture Shastra is telling us. So for us, Shastra is our pramana. So here in this case, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is saying, but my point is, because he is free from all defects, when he says something, then it is true. But we will see soon he will actually bring a pramana from the scripture and he will show him, see. And then this brāhmaṇa will accept. But right now, at this point, Mahaprabhu is saying, you just give up this, misconception that you have, that Sita ji is touched by Lord Ramchandra. Give it up. Like that. Prabhura vacane viprera haila viśvāsa bhojana karila haila jīvanera asha. So actually he believed. Mahaprabhu is saying, who will not believe? So this Vipra, when Mahaprabhu said, just give up this misconception that you have. Have faith in my words. And that Vipra, that brāhmaṇa, believed the Lord's words. Prabhura vacane viprera haila viśvāsa. He got faith in Mahaprabhu's words that Sitaji was not touched by Ram. Then he was fasting, isn't it? Bhojana karilo. He ate prasadam. He honored prasadam. Haila jīvanera asha. So now he got hope in life. Otherwise, he wanted to give up his life. And he was suffering because his prana was not leaving his body. He was suffering. This pain was too much to bear. It was as if his body was burning after hearing that Sitaji was touched by Ravana. When Mahaprabhu said, no, no, it cannot be, it's impossible. That's another thing, when you know the Siddhanta, even if you hear some statements which are not according to Siddhanta, immediately is, a bell will ring inside. Oh, this cannot be. That is why you have to know the basics. What are the building blocks of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? What are the axioms? The foundational principles of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. If you know those principles, then when you hear and read, or even when you hear lectures or when you read purports or commentaries, they will start connecting because you have the foundation, right? You have the basic principles in mind. For example, bhakti comes from bhakti only. It begins from a pure devotee. Now, sometimes when you hear some statements like, like what? Somebody became a devotee by the Lord's mercy. Immediately you will think, but devotee, one will become by devotional service begins from a devotee. Then you can dig little bit further and then you can understand, oh, actually there he got the mercy. I'll give you the example of the Kumaras. The Kumaras went to Vaikunta and they got darshan of Lord Narayan and they were actually relishing the form of the Lord. The Kumaras were devotees? No, they were Gyanis. How they got to go to Vaikunta? And not only going to Vaikunta, they were actually relishing the beauty of the Lord. They were in ecstasy. How they got this? The principle is, now if you read only Bhagavatam shlokas, you will hear the Kumaras went there and they even got angry on Jai and Vijay. They cursed the devotees of the Lord and then they went inside and the Lord, they smelled the lotus, the tulsi on the lotus feet of the Lord, and then now they're in ecstasy. And they saw darshan of the Lord and they were, weeping in ecstasy. How they got this? By the Lord's mercy. The Lord just gave his mercy to somebody like that directly. But this doesn't match with the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. What is the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? First of all, you have to receive the mercy of the Lord's devotee, and then the Lord will give his mercy. How the Kumaras got mercy, where they got mercy. Now immediately you'll start wondering. Then the answer is, they got the mercy from their father, who is a devotee, Lord Brahma. How? First of all, Brahmaji gave his mercy to them. That means he desired and he blessed them that they should become devotees, even though they were Gyanis. And then he told them, describe the form of the Lord. So hearing from a pure devotee, a description about the Lord, now those bhakti samskaras came in their heart. And now they had a desire after hearing that description, we would like to actually see the form of the Lord. Because they received the mercy of a devotee, now that mercy was followed by the Lord's mercy. The Lord will not give his mercy directly. He will only give his mercy when his devotee gives mercy first. Not only Lord Brahma, even Narad Muni, who is the brother of the Kumaras, who is a great devotee, gave his mercy to the Kumaras. That is how Kumaras got the opportunity. They got the Lord's darshan. So you see, like this, when you hear some statements, even in the purports, wherever you hear, if you know the foundational principles, then you can immediately connect. Oh, why Srila Prabhupada is saying here like this? Oh, because of this reason, like this, like this, like this. It is actually very exciting and interesting when you are reading and you're able to connect the points based on the axioms, the foundational principles. Now you may ask, where can we find these? Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, how will we find? That is why, first of all, of course, we read Srila Prabhupada's books, purports thoroughly, and then we should take help. Prabhupada writes in the very first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first shloka, purport, Prabhupada writes that a serious student will do well. So he mentions also, There are books written by Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushan, like this. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. A serious student will do well to go over the writings of these acharyas. So, we have so much wealth given by our Guru Parampara. So, especially Srila Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas. What are Sandarbhas, you know? It's Srimad Bhagavatam only. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, the verses are scattered. That means the verses are not classified under different topics. What are the main topics in any book, Shastra? Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. Sambandha means what is the relationship. Abhideya means what are the activities in that relationship. Prayojana means what is the ultimate result you want to achieve through those activities. Sambandha means relationship. Abhideya means activities in that relationship. Prayojana means what is the final result you want to achieve through those activities. One example that is given is when you get a girl and boy married. First of all, the relationship is established. Who establishes this relationship? The parents. They see the astrological charts, the age and the nature, the character. If they are matching, based on that, they establish the relationship. And then there is marriage. Now, this girl knows he is my husband. The boy knows she is my wife because the relationship is established. Then what are the activities in that relationship? The girl is made to serve the husband, to cook for him and things like that. By that, there is love between the two of them. What is the prayojana of this relationship and these activities? To get a child that will continue the lineage of the family. So, when there are activities in this relationship, when there is love between husband and wife, certainly the prayojana, the child will come. Like this. So, similarly in Bhagavatam also you have these three topics. Sambandha. What is the relationship of the living entity with the Supreme Lord? Abhideya. What should be the activities of the living entity with the Supreme Lord in this relationship? What is the relationship? He is the Supreme, he is Shaktiman and we are Shakti of the Lord. So that means being his energy, we are meant to be engaged in his service. So what is the relationship between Shakti and Shaktiman? He is the enjoyer and we are there for his service. And what is the best type of act? So what is the activity in that relationship? Service. So there are different types of relationships. Different types means different abhideyas are there. There is jnana, there is bhakti, and there is karma also, karma yoga. But what is the best of the three? Bhakti yoga is the best. Bhakti yoga. Then what is the science of this bhakti yoga? How does one progress? How does one proceed in this bhakti yoga? What are the various stages? What are the pitfalls? How to overcome those pitfalls? All these details are given in Bhagavatam itself. But these verses are scattered all over the place. It's not that you have first so many cantos are all Sambandha, then these cantos are all Abhideya, these cantos are all Prayojana. It is not like that. You will find verses about Sambandha Tattva scattered all over Bhagavatam. Then similarly, Abhideya Tattva, you will find scattered all over. Then Prayojana. So what Srila Jiva Goswami did is, he took all the Sambandha verses together and made that into one Sambandha, one Sandarbha. Then he took all the Abhideya. Then he took all the Prayojana. And in this way, he gave us 6 Sandarbhas. Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, Priti Sandarbha. Together, these 6 are known as Bhagavata Sandarbha. Bhagavat Sandarbha is different. Bhagavat Sandarbha is different. Bhagavat Sandarbha means, so again, Tattva Sandarbha tells you about, establishes the relationship. Who is the Supreme Lord? Absolute truth. And how to approach. There are different paths to approach the absolute truth. So that is Tattva Sandarbha. Then Bhagavat Sandarbha tells you about Brahman, about details about that absolute truth. Brahman and Bhagavan are said in Bhagavat Sandarbha. So Bhagavan means in general, Bhagavan, right? Not specifically Krishna, but Bhagavan Like you have Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So about Brahman and Bhagavan is said in Bhagavad Sandarbha. Paramatma Sandarbha tells about Paramatma and the living entity. Paramatma, Jivatma and Paramatma. That is explained in Paramatma Sandarbha. Krishna Sandarbha specifically talks about Lord Krishna. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And Bhakti Sandarbha. So all these are Sambandha. Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha is talking about Sambandha. Sambandha Tattva. Then Abhideya, in that relationship, what are the activities? And the highest is Bhakti. Bhakti. So Bhakti Sandarbha is the biggest. It's very vast. But because that's our activity and, all the science of Bhakti is explained. That means what are the stages? What are the types of gurus? What are the types of sadhus? And what is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? What is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti? Everything, all stages up to Prema. Bhakti. How to do Bhakti? What are the offenses? Anartha Nivritti. How to get Shraddha? Dhrida Shraddha is the qualification. Where do we know all these things from? From Sandarbha only. So the Sandarbhas will give us the axioms, the foundational principles from Bhagavatam. Not that everything is completely based on Shastra. In that also Bhagavatam. Tattva Sandarbha establishes Srimad Bhagavatam as the highest pramana. Very beginning. First of all, the pramana is established. And then these verses are taken from, or based on the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, these philosophical points are established. And not only Srimad Bhagavatam, in addition to Srimad Bhagavatam, also from different Puranas and other sources, verses are quoted. It is such a thorough work of a genius, really. I mean, we don't even have the ability, the caliber to grasp what is given. Can you imagine what a genius Srila Jiva Goswami is, who has actually done all that work? And they didn't have laptops and, memory cards or any of these things back then. They're all, eternal associates of the Lord from Goloka. But they did it for us. So we should not just ignore all this saying that, no, you shouldn't read. Sometimes you hear like that. You shouldn't hear or read about other books. No, Srila Prabhupada didn't say that. Okay, so Bhakti Sandarbha. And then finally, Priti Sandarbha is about the Prayojana. Priti Sandarbha talks about Prema, right? Then who are all the gopis and, different types of gopis. And yeah, Priti Sandarbha is talking about the Prayojan, Krishna Prema, like that. So I think I should stop here. I'll just see. Prabhura vacane viprera haila viśvāsa bhojana karila haila jīvanera āsha. So after hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words, this brāhmana, he got faith in his words. He was fasting. Now he broke his fast. He ate prasadam. And then now he got hope to live. Otherwise, he was so despondent, he wanted to give up his life by entering into fire or water. But now he got hope to live. Although the Brahmana was fasting, he had faith in the words of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and accepted food. In this way, his life was saved. Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a nice class. And very rightly said, we have to be very careful whom we are taking the information from, listening, because sometimes, so many speakers are there and they may have a very articulate, very, convincing documents and presentations, but it is really important to understand and recognize that it is in the correct order. We are receiving the knowledge from the correct source, and it's like you explain all the time that it's fitting in the axioms of what it needs to be. And because so many, even if you go for Bhagavatam, even in ISKCON also, Mataji, like
Yeah.
so many people will have a class and this in the temples, and they're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam only. But again, the explanation, like you said, you can figure out in the first like 10 to 15 minutes where this is heading, and you can kind of identify that it is like, oh, no, it's like, no, it's not matching to what I've been hearing. So you can, if you have some good basic understanding, you will be able to identify whether it is the correct source that I am listening to. Even though in YouTube also so many like lectures are there, and we should just not just because I want to understand this verse or this chapter better, it doesn't mean we should just listen from anybody. So
Exactly.
that's a very, very, very valuable point that you have mentioned, because sometimes when we are learning, we think, oh, this chapter, I need to re-listen. But then for that also you should go to the correct source,
Yes.
so that you're being presented the material as it is,
As it
you
is.
understand as it is, and if you ever get an opportunity to explain somebody, you explain as it is. So
Perfect. Very nice.
thank you so much. Yes, thank you
I'm
so much.
glad that you got the message as it is, as I wanted to present it.
You always do as it is. That's why we love your classes. I try my best to attend as much as I can.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you, Mataji.
Krishna.
Dandavat pranam. Thank you
Dandavat
so much.
pranam. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnava. Thank you. Hare Krishna.